It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Juliet, she says, I'm 25. I'm making $104K a year. I currently have $15,000 in student loans and then theoretically $5,000 after the relief. So should I prioritize paying off the loan before January when it starts gaining interest again? Her interest is 4%.
Okay.
What do you think?
Interesting. All right. So first thing I want to start at is, Juliet, you are a 25-year-old, and did you say she's making $104,000?
Yes, honestly, first of all,
that's
props
awesome,
to you.
Right? Like
Great start.
You are already so far out ahead of the curve to be a young person making that kind of income. You have so much ability to do so much great stuff with that. So kudos to you for whatever you did to end up in that position to make that income. That's awesome. We get this question all the time, right? Like, what should I think about student loans? Well, if you go and look at our financial order of operations, free deliverable, you can go to moneyguy.com/resources. Number 3 is high interest debt. We've worked through deductibles. We're getting free employer match because we're liking free money. And then we go to high interest debt. Well, while student loans have been in deferment, right? It's been low interest debt. It's been like around 0% interest accumulating. So our guidance to folks, especially young folks, especially like right now, what's interesting is we don't ever try to time the market. In our opinion, it's a futile exercise, but we know the market's down right now. We know that relative to where it was in January, things are looking kind of attractive, or at least more attractive from a valuation standpoint. So we think while you have low interest debt and student loans at 0 or low interest, you should focus on building your army of dollar bills. So make sure you have an emergency fund in place, and then you jump right into the fun, sexy, tax-free stuff, the Roth IRAs, the HSAs. Then you go back to the 401k. Then you get into hyper-accumulation. But she said, okay, I was at 0. I got my head wrapped around that, but now it's going to be 4%. What do I do if my student loans are 4%? Well, Juliet, you're 25, and I would argue that the power of your dollars, go do this right now. Go to moneyguy.com/resources. We have a deliverable called our Wealth Multiplier. I want you to go look at what, for a 25-year-old, your $1 might not turn into 88, but it's going to turn into something really, really exciting. I'm going to guess somewhere in the 60s. Daniel can shake his head yes or no if I'm close on that. It's going to turn into something pretty stinking exciting. So I would argue that every dollar you had would likely be better utilized going to build your army of dollar bills than satisfying that 4% relatively low interest student loan. So I would think about, okay, does this qualify as high interest debt? If based on my unique risk profile, I think my risk premium, I think the amount I can earn out there in the marketplace is greater than 4%. I don't know that I would like get in a crazy big hurry to satisfy those student loans, either right now while it's at 0% or even in January when it switches to 4%, because I think those dollars can work for you really, really hard. And here's another thing. You are a 25-year-old making $104,000 a year. I'm just going on a limb, and I'm gonna assume that your income trajectory probably looks pretty decently exciting,
Sure.
right? Like if you're making that much this early, it doesn't seem crazy to think you're going to make more money. Right now, you don't realize this, but you are racing against a what's the game? Oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? You know when you turn a thing upside down and sand falls through it? What's that called? Come on, guys.
Hourglass?
An hourglass, yes. You
not a
are
game,
racing.
but yes, an hourglass.
No, but me and my kids play. There's a game we play with that. There
are a lot of games with that. Yes, okay.
You're
I
racing
get it
against
now.
an hourglass right now because as your income increases, Roth IRAs are so good. The government says, hey, only certain people can put money into these things. Once you make over a certain income, you can't even do this anymore unless you do it the backdoor way. And who knows how long the backdoor way is even going to be here because, it's kind of been on the chopping block for the past couple of years. So every dollar that you're able to get into Roth now, your 30, 35, 40, 45-year-old self might be like, man, I'm so glad I did Roth while I could, because once that window closed, I had no way to build those dollars back up. So if I were sitting in your situation, I would really think through, okay, how can I build up that tax-free bucket, get that sucker compounding 88 times over for me, and then approach the student loans in sort of a practical, pragmatic way through time.